key challenge in innovation is execution. And we don't have, lack of ideas. There are lots and lots of ideas. The real problem is converting ideas into impact, ideas into a scaled up business. And there are three major lessons we are learning in execution. Number one is, in execution, you need to reduce your innovative ideas into a series of assumptions and really try to test those assumptions, convert assumptions into knowledge. That's principle number one. Principle number two we are learning is, in order for innovation to happen, you have to have a dedicated team, and the dedicated team should be separated from the core business. And the third principle we are learning is, while the dedicated team should be separate from the core business, it should not be isolated. And there should be some assets of the core business it has to borrow. Therefore, it has to be linked to the mothership. If you do these three things, then execution excellence you can achieve. In fact, the interesting thing is, people always say Indians lack creativity. Ideas is about creativity. Execution is a much more disciplined process. Therefore, not just Indians, anybody can master it. So it is a question of really trying to understand what are the key principles in execution and follow it. Therefore, I don't see there is anything inherently wrong with Indians in excelling in execution. It is just a matter of understanding what the principles are and following it through, because it's a disciplined process. To me, innovation is doing something different and new. And that's what innovation is. I mean, it could be a small innovation or a big innovation, but it's got to be something new and something different. That's how we innovate innovation. I think that is absolutely critical, because we talk a lot about make in India, and make in India cannot happen unless you innovate in India. Because if you don't innovate in India, you cannot protect your manufacturing excellence, because it will migrate to other low-cost countries. And therefore, innovation has to be at the core. And the interesting thing is, India has very strong engineering talent. So we can actually be very, very good in technology-led innovation. And again, I would go back to the real problem is in execution. Therefore, I would really recommend that India think about establishing an innovation laboratory where they bring the entrepreneurs, but that lab should not just give venture capital, but give management expertise in executing the idea. Then I think India can really hum. Again, think of it this way. There is nothing inherently wrong about Indians when it comes to innovation, because it's the same Indians who go to Silicon Valley and do all kinds of innovation. So it's a question of context, institutional framework, incentives. If you put that in place, I think innovation will flourish in India.
Oh.
Without ecosystem, individuals can't innovate, and that's why I say that this innovation lab can provide that ecosystem. And the most important piece in the ecosystem to me is to give them execution guidance. If you put the systems in place, things will change, because Indians will respond to incentives, will respond to the opportunities, and they are really ready. Because I've been talking to lots and lots of Indians, the young Indians. What encourages me, what gives me optimism about India is the youth. They have energy, they have high aspiration, they want to do good, they want to make a big difference. Now the question is, we got to clear all the hurdles, but more importantly, create the right environment. The main reason we bring them to India is, I have this 3-box approach to strategy, and box 3 is all about breakthrough innovation, non-linear innovation. We want to use India as a case study to show how you can do non-linear innovation. Because India, you can succeed only in box 3 innovation. So we expose them to Narayana Hridalaya, Arvind Eye Care, Mahindra's Scorpio project, just for them to see, if you want to crack open the Indian market, you have to really innovate. And I always say India is not one country, there are 3 Indias. India number 1 is the developed India, that's tier 1, about 16 cities, which is what they're used to. Most multinationals stay there. Then there is India number 2. India number 1 is the top of the economic pyramid, that they know already. India number 2 is the developing India. That's the middle of the economic pyramid, which is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities and small towns. Then there is India number 3, which is the underdeveloped India, which is really the bottom of the economic pyramid, which would be the 600,000 villages. So you have to look at India as 3 Indias, and we help them to see what it takes to succeed in India number 2. And what does it take to succeed in India number 3? And you have to do a paradigm shift if you want to succeed in India number 2. And you have to do another paradigm shift if you want to succeed in India number 3. And these are not just options, nice to do, because if you don't do that, a local company will occupy India number 2 and then give you headaches in India number 1, as Nirma did, the Hindustan Lever. And because Hindustan Lever stayed in India number 1. And then Nirma came in India number 2. And they will not stay in India number 2, then they come after you. And therefore it is both for an opportunity as well as a defense. You got to focus on. So that's what we try to get across.